So, Bethesda has not had a good week, and honestly, they really haven't had a good week in months. As we explored in my last video, the Fallout 76 community that has stuck with this game through the numerous controversies that seem to happen every other day began to implode after the latest patch of the game reintroduced numerous bugs and glitches and apparently exploits that plagued the game soon after release. All of these issues had been resolved, but Bethesda somehow brought a lot of them back, and the community just was not happy. The other day, a hotfix was announced to be coming soon, and I believe most of the issues should be re-fixed. Bethesda posted on the Fallout 76 subreddit explaining that what happened was that a merge of internal development builds failed to execute properly prior to releasing patch 5. They would further state that they are investigating what happened and are currently developing and testing the hotfix and expect to deploy this update at either the end of the week or the beginning of next. Now, as far as I understand, this hotfix has gone live, and while it refixed many of the problems that had been brought back to life, it seems it has created new ones based on reports made on the Fallout 76 subreddit. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. User Mason saying hours ago, bug, there's definitely a problem with stealth since the last patch. And in the description of his post, this user pretty much would explain how stealth is broken, saying I have 22 agility, 3 perk sneak, escape artist, chameleon mutation, wear the garb of mystery with the eye of Ra, and have only silenced weapons, and I'm constantly stuck in caution, even with 0 enemies around. And if I fire off a few shots, even from a huge distance, it throws me into danger. A Bethesda employee would respond by saying, hi. I've been collecting reports on this, we'll bring it for a discussion and investigation, thank you. Then another user, Gumby17, made a post reporting that a weight bug had returned, and from his post it just looks like a real mess. Additionally, there are other reports out there, and Bethesda has conveniently made a thread addressing known issues that have been solved and others that have not. Honestly, it's just quite shocking that we're 3 months since release, and I really can't tell if Fallout 76 is improving or just getting worse. Now, on top of these issues, there's also been some raised about the newest cosmetics in the game, which some are calling pay to win and gameplay affecting because your team or group can gain plus 15 maximum health by getting an unstoppable outfit, which are sold of course in the Atomic Shop, and I would assume hopefully can be found in the open world of Appalachia. Either way, some people are concerned by these items being sold because these cosmetics are not just cosmetics anymore, as they do give some little advantage. I also have been reading into the community patch notes and have noticed that Bethesda still has not made any adjustments to the lunchboxes that were previously data mined and found in the secret dev room, which based on the gameplay footage that was leaked by YouTuber Juicehead, it seems that when you get a lunchbox, you're supposed to open it near your friends so they can also take advantage of the effect. And the issue with that, based on some of the investigative work done into the game's code, it was found that some of the effects that these lunchboxes have affect gameplay, like a radiation resistance bonus, a damage bonus, a carry capacity bonus, and an XP boost. So yes, it's not just optional cosmetics like Bethesda previously had said. It's still unclear if these lunchboxes will get to see the light of day, but I find it very interesting how these quote-unquote cosmetic outfits were just released with a minor health boost. I don't know if it was testing for future content or was always the plan, but concerns are certainly valid based on the previous findings of lunchboxes. And let's not forget, at one point perk cards were supposed to be a part of the Atomic Shop. I just really wonder what Bethesda's original plans were for the Atomic Shop from the start, because it seems that if there wasn't the massive Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot box debacle, the Atomic Shop could have been an even bigger mess than what it already kinda is. But moving on, just the other day we discussed how Bethesda was taking action against those exploiting glitches in the game. Dupers or duplicators have been a problem for months, and really just started to get addressed after it was discovered that players had found a way to access and take items from a secret dev room. Many of these items were actually being sold on websites like eBay. One of the latest updates to the game, Bethesda implemented a carry weight cap, which in my eyes is a smart move, as many dupers had carry weight of millions, while anyone playing the game the correct way should only have a few hundred at most. Now, the big issue that has been found with Bethesda's mission to stop dupers is that it looks like they implemented another secret change that is getting many players unfairly banned. As reported by user Quibble at the Fallout 76 subreddit, he said in a post, PSA, don't craft mass amounts of weapons to scrap for mods or you get banned. And as he would state further down in his post, it appears they don't have a means to tell the difference between legitimately crafting a bunch of items or duping. I know a lot of people have 2 computers and alt accounts that they use to offload scrap, weapons, chems, aid, etc. If you have played since launch, you could easily and legitimately accumulate 16,000 pounds of scrap on them like I did. I recommend that if you need to clear out a scrap mule due to the recent weight cap limits, bulk your items and sell instead of using the scrap to create items for mods, and perhaps do a reasonable amount at a time. My alt account was banned and all I did was craft a bunch of weapons so that I could scrap them for mods. Another user, Fixin, would take to the Fallout subreddit stating Bethesda is banning people who craft over 20 plus items at a time. Be careful. Instead of doing anything but the bare minimum, Bethesda is banning people who craft in bulk. Due to the dupe glitch, working in a similar way, this seems to be their answer, so keep your crafting to low numbers. But please don't worry, they did prepare for content coming soon for what really matters. Power armor, headlamp, microtransactions, because that is all this player base is to them now. Which, I mean, he is right, they certainly are making sure the Atomic Shop is getting, well, regular updates. Additionally, another user, Vlad, also reported the same problem in a separate post titled "Crafted a few gamma guns to learn mods, got banned. WTF." And he would continue further into his post stating, "Today I got a message that my account was suspended indefinitely, and it asked me to explain the excessively high rate of item creation. The only thing I crafted in weeks was somewhere between 10 and 20 gamma guns, and super duper and crafted about 10 to scrap for mods, then crafted gamma rounds to use it. I am not a duper, none of my characters are even over the weight limit. How the F is a normal player supposed to know how to navigate all of this BS to even play? If you have plans to make an item so you can craft and scrap, where does it tell me how many I can or can't make? Where in the code of conduct does it say that I have to learn the speed I can press the craft button to avoid being banned?" On top of this, sadly, Bethesda has not exactly been very fast to work with those affected by unfair bans, as for months many users have reported extremely slow response times from Bethesda's support team. Before we move on to the next story, I wanted to include this image coming from the Reddit user that got banned. And it's the one being sent from Bethesda. It says, "This account has violated the code of conduct and terms of service by exploiting a system issue that results in item duplication. As a result, the account was suspended." And then it continues saying, "If this account has been flagged in error, please let us know by providing a short description of what you were doing that may have resulted in this excessively high rate of item creation. And then upon review, we may consider lifting the suspension." Which, what I do not understand is, how does just playing the game get a banning, and why does Bethesda need an explanation to prove this user did something wrong? Shouldn't they be the one handing out the explanation? I would assume that's their part of the job. I mean, with this account possibly being terminated, this user loses their whole account, which could have many more Bethesda games on it. I just don't understand how this system works, and for months we've had reports of unfair bans, and it just seriously seems flawed, like much of Fallout 76. Now, to make matters worse for Bethesda, do you remember that law firm that was investigating them? Well, I actually was contacted by them because of my coverage on it late last year, and they pointed me to an update that was posted on their social media accounts. But if you're unaware about this situation, which at this point there's so many to count, it's understandable if you missed it. Well, Bethesda moved away from a Steam release for Fallout 76, instead for their own Bethesda client or launcher. This was a move that the community hated. Bethesda VP of Marketing, who still is MIA on social media and someone should check if he's alright, Pete Hines, pretty much explained they chose to go exclusive on PC with their Bethesda launcher for a more personal connection with their users, which was really just PR speak for "we don't want to give Valve a cut, we don't like their refund policy, and essentially more money for us, which is what matters to these businesses at the end of the day." Anyway, the issue that many players had with Fallout 76's launch exclusively on Bethesda.net is the refund policy, which many players weren't aware that customers who have downloaded the game are not eligible for a refund, something stated in the terms of service, which is a lot different than Steam's policy, which is that a refund will be issued for any title that is requested within 14 days of purchase and has been played for less than 2 hours. Furthermore, when Fallout 76 launched with all the various issues on PC, many were looking for a refund, which supposedly was granted to some players, even with the refund policy in place, except soon after, something clearly changed at Bethesda because people were soon after being met with auto rejections, which brings in the US law firm launching an investigation into Bethesda for deceptive trade practices. As they would state on their website, Migliaccio and Refund LLP is currently investigating Bethesda Game Studios for releasing a heavily glitched game, Fallout 76, and refusing to issue refunds for PC purchasers of the game who found it to be unplayable because of its technical problems. While minor bugs and glitches are expected with the release of most new games, Fallout 76 launched with a 56GB patch that has proven to be but a starting point for the game's problems. Gamers who have tried to receive a refund because of the game's myriad glitches have been unable to do so since they downloaded the game, leaving them to deal with an unplayable experience until patches bring it back to the playable state. Now, the update to this story is that this law firm cannot pursue a class action lawsuit, but they plan to push forward despite this roadblock. They would state on Facebook in a post, "In recent years, a slim majority of the United States Supreme Court has permitted corporations to deprive consumers of their day in court, especially with respect to class action claims. Corporations do so by inserting arbitration clauses into the fine print of documents that consumers may not even see, including in electronic end-user licensing agreements, EULAs, that are clicked through to use a cell phone app or even multiplayer video games. Last year in Epic Systems Corp versus Lewis, the justices found that a fine print arbitration agreement even trumped workers' rights to bring a collective action lawsuit for fair wages in court. By preventing class actions, corporations can make it economically impossible for individuals to vindicate their rights for claims that concern only a relatively small amount of money." Migliaccio and Refund LLP is fighting back. "We call our latest effort Arbageddon. As background, Bethesda Game Studios released the video game Fallout 76 in November 2018, which it had been marked for months as a premium game that consumers had to pay premium price to play. Unfortunately, when the game was released, technical errors severely compromised playability, and the game was at best more akin to an early beta," which, yeah, I agree to, "that no one would have paid full price for. Consumers demanded refunds in droves, but Bethesda refused. The consumers came to us." Bethesda probably thought it could refuse to refund its customers because use of the multiplayer game requires players to click through an arbitration agreement. So most players, except for potentially those in California, cannot take the company to court in a class action. "We are undeterred and prepared to pursue individual cases in arbitration along with a class action for California users if Bethesda does not make things right. We recently sent hundreds of individual demand letters to them. The photo above and what's on the screen is the box full of demands that we sent. Under the terms of the arbitration clause, they now have 26 days to respond to try and resolve the claims informally. If they do not do so, we will pursue hundreds of arbitrations and the full weight of Arbageddon will be upon them." Look, this also may not be the end with this law firm taking actions against Bethesda. I was notified by this law firm that they are still investigating the canvas bag disaster and waiting to see if Bethesda does deliver on the promise of sending the bags in the coming months. But pretty much Bethesda is backed into a corner. Consumers cannot put together class action, but Bethesda will have to handle each case individually, or, which is much smarter, just give the refunds to those affected. For what it's worth, Leonard French also previously set up a website, falloutwithfallout.com, to help users send demand letters to Bethesda to force them into addressing refund requests. So yeah, this could get even worse for Bethesda in the coming weeks, but I don't think there's anything else I can say about Fallout 76 at this point. I'm almost frustrated that Bethesda is so incompetent. Like, it's almost annoying how badly they've handled all of this. And I've said it in the past, the longer these problems continue, the more it will affect games like Rage 2 that are coming soon, which may not be developed by Bethesda Game Studios, but it certainly still is published by Bethesda Softworks, and many will skip just for that reason. Reputation means everything in gaming, and you have to wonder what Bethesda can or will do to try and repair things, if it's even possible at this point. Anyway, these are just my thoughts on the mess that is Fallout 76, and I don't even know if we can call it a mess anymore. There has to be a better term to describe Fallout 76. It's an unprecedented levels of stupidity at this point, with all the controversies that just keep on coming. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow me on my social media accounts. That's where you get a lot more of my opinions on other gaming news that may not make it into video form. But like I said before, thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, because certainly Bethesda probably will screw up again, and I'll see you later.